to the Amplify Your Voice TV show with Megan Bruiners. On this show, we empower and we encourage. We also speak to emerging authors, marketplace leaders, and kingdom influencers. So today we have the beautiful Michelle, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correct, Michelle Farrar, who has a heart for the hurting and is passionate about people rebounding from trauma and tragedy, as well as training and equipping in prayer, ministry, and leadership development. Michelle, welcome on the Amplify Your Voice TV show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here today.
We are super excited just to chat to you and to get to know you. So, who is Michelle? Where are you from? And then, where did your story, where did it start from?
I'm from San Bernardino, California. I'm a minister, I'm an ordained prophet, and I go to Kingdom Culture in San Bernardino. And my story, where does it start from? Wow, it sure didn't start on a path of salvation. I come from a single mom. She had two kids, and we were not raised in church. We were always familiar with church. We have family that were in church. My mom believed, but we didn't attend church. Became a single, me myself became a teen parent at 15, and had multiple. I had five children by the time I was 22. Was in an extremely abusive relationship, but it was at the end of that relationship that actually led me to accepting Christ into my life. And so after that, once I got saved, things just started moving quickly, and God just really started putting me on this journey of knowing who He is and hearing His voice, and bringing me into a greater knowledge of Him, and just having passion for people who came out of situations like mine. People who were kind of like thrown away, rejected, not on the likely ones to be chosen or to be used by God. And so God just gave me the heart for that. And He just continued to use me, continue to show that through my life that it's possible. Just continue to walk with Him, continue to believe in Him, continue to pursue Him. And He would, develop stuff, and I can go back and teach others that they can do the same.
So, Michelle, what did you say is your why?
My why is because I come out of a situation where it should not be possible. My life is abuse, tragedy, just neglect, hurt, tons of pain. And because I was able to make it out, and because I was able to continue to move forward and step into purpose and destiny, my why has been not only my children, but those that are in the same situations that I have been in, to show them that things can change. You don't have to stay in those places. Yes, it's hard, but it's possible. And if you can grab on to the word of the Lord and really believe and be willing to put into the work, it can change. And so that is my why.
So, how important is it for you to merge business with faith?
It's extremely important because I don't believe that you can do one without the other. Now, we see people do it all the time, but for my life, faith and business is tied together, because there's going to be times in business where there's a challenge. It's not easy. You're going to have hard times. You got to be able to have strategy. This kind of stuff comes from faith. It comes from the belief in the word. And if you don't have something that you can grab on when you hit those hard times, it's really hard to press through. So when you need a strategy, how can I take my business to the next level? How can I, break into new markets or open new doors? Faith is required to be able to press into those new realms of opportunity.
I also know that as an entrepreneur, it's so important to check your thinking and to check your doctrine and also sound teaching. So, how have you made sure that you align yourself with sound teaching?
One, I stayed directly in the word, but then I checked, the people that I listen to. What is their track record? who are they accountable to? What fruit do they produce? And so the fruit they produce is very important because it lets you know the soundness of the quality word that is coming from them, and just constantly in the word, renewing my mind, challenging my thinking, having accountability, letting people speak into me when to say, you know what, you may be a little off, or I don't think so. So things that continue to challenge me to keep the purity of what I'm producing correct.
That's so good. I think we can go for a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna speak about leadership, and we're gonna speak about what it looks like to be a kingdom ambassador. And then we're also going to be talking about Michelle's book that was just launched. So we'll be right back after the break.
Do you find yourself pulling back from leadership even though you know you've been called to lead? Do you want to advance the kingdom but don't feel equipped? Are you curious about what it takes to become a solid kingdom leader? The 9 foundational lessons to becoming a solid kingdom leader will equip you to lead effectively in today's turbulent times and prepare you for what lies ahead. If you know you're called to advance the kingdom, there's no time to waste. You are a kingdom leader and the world needs you. Order my book at michellefarrar.com. Coaching also available to take your leadership to the next level. Book a coaching session on the website today.
And we're back, and we have Michelle Farrar in studio. And Michelle empowers communities holistically by healing individuals, which heals a family unit and transforms the community. She also deploys leaders by raising up a strong army of bold kingdom intercessors who not only shift atmospheres but also walk in their God-given authority. And that is definitely, part of my assignment. I think there's a lot of similarities even in our stories and also in our calling. What I want to ask you is, what is your definition of a kingdom leader?
A kingdom leader to me is one that brings the kingdom into every space that they go. Whether you're called to lead in the marketplace or whether you're called to lead in your own home. If you have a leadership role, you will bring the word of God and what God says and his light into every aspect of the places that you are called to lead.
And the reason why I'm asking you that is because I even spoke to someone earlier on, and we spoke about kingdom being used in the marketplace, but you don't see the fruit. So, can you speak to that, just about your experience and your journey with being an entrepreneur, when you have seen your peers or leaders trying to be carbon copies of someone else? How have you responded to that, and how has that even helped you to show up authentically as a marketplace leader?
I've seen it happen, and what it does is I feel like it just compromises the witness of who God is. He tells us to go into all the world, and so we are supposed to go, but the way we represent Him is being our authentic self. So, of course, on the journey, you have people that you kind of try to pattern after. You want to learn from them, but the best way that I've figured out that I can reflect God and His image is being authentically who He called me to be, and without compromise, and showing that how He works through me and what He's been able to do through me brings encouragement to others, to let them know that what they have on their life is enough, and that He can use it in the marketplace, to bring forth his kingdom, to bring forth his glory. And so when we be willing not to like dumb that down or to copy other people, but to show who you called to be, we're each a piece. And if he needed the same person, then he wouldn't have to call you. He would just continue to use them. So it's very important to be authentic and to be yourself, because you bring up a piece. Even if you're doing the same thing someone else is doing, there's a piece that you bring, and there's something attached to your voice that only you can unlock for others. So it's very important to be your authentic self.
That's so, so good. So, Michelle, share with us how you came to write your book. What's the title of the book, and what brought you to write the book, and then also share your story?
Yeah, so what brought me to write the book is I've had prophetic words over my life that I would be an author. They kept continued to come. And last year, I went on a missions trip to Africa. I was in Uganda and I was in Zambia. And before I left, the words were continuing to come. It's time for you to write a book. Time for you to write a book. So we went to the missions trip, and it was amazing. And during that time, I kept a journal. I just was really tracking everything God was doing because I wanted to remember the experience. And after I came back from the trip, I was just having a really hard time processing everything that happened. And so as I sat down with God and was like, I really need you to help me because it was such an amazing trip, but we were very just really hands on ministering. And then to come back, trying to process all that happened, I said, I need you to help me process this trip. And so he started giving me highlights of things that were highlighted during the trip. He would give me one word. And then in that, he started to bring out all that I learned from those things. And so it just started off with me just journaling and writing, processing this trip. And then as I began to write it, the Lord started to say, this not only was highlighted to you during the trip, this has been a highlight to you throughout your entire process as a leader. So the book started, I was just writing. I thought I was writing letters. I first entitled it Letters from Africa. And it was just, just me as processing the book. But as I continued to go and continue to develop it and sharing it with a few friends, it was shown that no, this is actually a leadership model. This is what you have learned on your leadership journey. And this has been the thing that has guided you the whole way throughout your time in leadership. And so I just wrote into that and got it done, listening, being obedient to the fact that I was supposed to write, and it was time for me to write now. And it just came up out of that trip.
So you mentioned that you needed to make sure that you were obedient, that you were supposed to write. So for those that are struggling, those emerging authors that are struggling to write, can you speak to that place of procrastination, that place of you thinking that your story isn't significant? Like, why is it so important to tell your story?
Yeah, and procrastination has been a big thing for me. Like I said, I've had prophetic word for years that I was supposed to write, and I kept putting it off. Different reasons. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the skill set. No one would want to hear from me. Those type of things would continue to play in my mind, or I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll start later, all those things. So I know procrastination very well. And as I said, I had a prophetic word going into last year, and it was like, it's time for you to write. And the words kept coming, and they continued to get more and more urgent. And then it actually, the more people would come to me, it was like, you need to write now or the window is going to close. The grace for you is going to close. And I mean, that just really, stunted me into action because I could feel the weight of it. And it just continued to come, a lot. And sitting with a friend, she spoke to me and she said, you have 90 days to get this book out. And it just sparked action into me. And to realize, in that, if you don't move, like I said earlier, there's something in you that somebody in the earth needs that only you can unlock. So when you don't bring forth your voice, there's something that they're not getting. There's something that people cannot tap into. There's a next level that they can't move into. And either God will send somebody else or he has to raise someone else up. And now not only are you delayed, but they're delayed. And so your sound and what you have is so important because we're all pieces for one another.
That's so good. I'm going to have to go back and just take notes again. So, Michelle, how has the prophetic, you flowing in the prophetic, how has that helped you on your journey of being an author, but also of being an anointed woman in business?
Yeah, the prophetic has been it has been everything for me. The first chapter of the book talks about possibilities, and it talks about how what started me on the journey was a prophetic word. I got a prophetic word of something that I never heard before, and they said that I would go to the nations. So when I started getting prophetic words about business and going into the direction of entrepreneurship, the track record of what has happened in my life before based on these prophetic words that I followed has unlocked major doors. So I knew that listening to the prophetic word is vital, not only to step into business, but to be able to sustain. Because when you have a prophetic word, God can give you some insight that the person next to you doesn't get. He can tell you to go left, go right, stop, to do this, to, connect to this person. And your willingness to yield to that can cause a major shift for your business.
So, how have you healed it? And in hindsight, if you didn't heal, how do you think it would have ended up? Because we're speaking about obedience, isn't it? And we're speaking to those that's still sitting on that vision, that's still sitting on the instruction that God gave them. Like, what helped you to lean in and to actually execute what he was telling you to do?
What helped me was the fear of not becoming. Like I said, I come out of a lot of tragedy, a lot of pain, a lot of destruction. And so the thought of going back or not moving past that constantly keeps me pursuing moving forward. And not only that, I had another word where, from the Lord, where He told me that if I live, everything connected to me would live. And if I died, everything connected to me would die. And so being willing to move and be obedient, I understand that it's not just about me. And so when I realize that, it helps me stay on the track. This is not about Michelle. It may be my decision in the moment, but the consequences affect more than just me. And so that helps me to be obedient and to continue to pursue and go forward, even when I don't feel like I can or even want to. When I think of the bigger picture, it compels me to continue to go.
So, for those that's called to the ministry and to the marketplace, because there's so many women that's coming up now and unlocking their voices. Can you share just 3 strategies? You don't have to give any info from your book if you don't want to, but just share with us some of your expert strategies of of how they can even step into that place of influence in their own lives.
The one thing is believe that all things are possible. There is absolutely no limits into what can happen when you believe. When you look at the scripture, it says all things. It doesn't say some things. It doesn't say, certain things. It says all things. And so you have to get the mindset that if you're being called to it, if there's something stirring in your spirit, then it's definitely possible. Will it be easy? Not at all, but it's possible. So that is a strategy that you have to check your belief system. Belief has to be the very basic of what we do. We're saved because we believe. And so you have to believe. That is very important. The next thing is being very grateful. When you live grateful, it's attractive. It brings things to you. Be grateful for everything that you have, even if you're not there yet, even if you're not in a place where you're trying to go yet. The gratefulness is an abundant mindset, and it attracts to you what you need and what you desire. When we see that in scripture, when Jesus fed the 5,000, he thanked them for the little bit that he had, and then it multiplied, and he was able to feed thousands and have some left over. Gratefulness is a key to attract abundance to your life, the resources that you need, the people that you need, everything that you need to get to the next level. It begins with you being grateful. So when we have a negative mindset where we're just ungrateful, complaining, you shut down the flow that God wants to give to you. So that's very important mindset to adopt. And also be very generous. He said he gives seed to the sower. So if you're willing to be generous, whether if you have resources or not, but with your time, with your talent, with what you have, being generous, not holding back. A lot of times when you step into business or marketplace, people don't like to share strategies with you. You know, they like to be like, no, I got it myself. So they don't want to give it to you. They don't want to tell you, because for some reason they think if they tell you, you're going to do better than them. But that is a seed. And so, be generous with all that you have, be willing to give out, be willing to share ideas, be willing to sow seed because he gives seed to the sower. And so if you can adopt those things, that will help you as you step forward in the marketplace.
That's awesome. So now the book is out. And what's your plan to do with the book? And then after that, you can just share with us where we can get a copy of your book, of your brand new book.
My plan for the book is really to help people understand these foundational lessons that we all have to walk through when we step into leadership. Wherever area that you are called to lead in, you're going to come across these lessons. And so I really want to strengthen the faith and help people to know that, hey, you're not off track. This is really what you're walking through, and this can help solidify your faith and help you take your faith to another level so you can move into the things that God is calling you to. So I really would like to build the faith of the communities, continue to teach these principles so that way we can stand in the places that we are called to and reflect the kingdom. I want to use the book to expand the kingdom, to let people know that in the marketplace, I can reflect the Lord, and this is what's happening. So that's what I would like to do with the book. And you can find the book on my website, and it's michellemfarrar.com/9 lessons. And so you can find it there and get a copy. You can also find it on Amazon. So if you get it from a website, you'll get a signed copy, or you can get it directly from Amazon.
So, Michelle, are you writing more books after this?
That is the plan, yes.
And that's all she said. She's very careful. She was very careful in answering that. I know that you're going to be writing more books because we need what you carry. That's so, so amazing. And in closing, can you just share, I'm sure you even spoke about it in your book, the message that God has given you. What is that one message that you are now running with in this season?
The one message, and this is something I've been saying throughout this entire show, is that all things are possible. Like, really take the limits off of God, take the limits off yourself, take the limits off your mind. All things are possible. And if anybody can learn anything from my life, if you look at my life testifies that all things are truly possible. So that is the message that I'm reflecting. That's the message that I'm running with this year. That's the message that I want everyone to get. All things are possible to them that believe.
There you have it, Michelle. It's been absolutely amazing having you in studio today.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's been incredible. I love being on here, and thank you.
We'll definitely have you back for the rest of the books that's coming. So there you have it, everyone. Michelle Farrar. It was absolutely amazing having her in studio. So we will be continuing speaking to influencers and marketplace leaders as well as trailblazers for the rest of the series and upcoming episodes. That is every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to look out for it, and I will see all of you very, very soon. And remember, when you mind his business, he takes care of your business. So bye-bye, everyone.